Today, we're going to talk about a brain rot TikTok that actually broke my brain. A guy flashes an email from the Epstein leak and just declares Epstein funded Bitcoin. It's kind of true, but the real story is way stranger. And I think I discovered who Satoshi Nakamoto is. When I followed the money, the MIT Media Lab, and this mild-mannered coder named Gavin Andresen, I ended up with a theory about who Satoshi Nakamoto's identity is. We're going to talk about CIA briefings, Epstein's gift funds, Bitcoin's occult mythology, and why the nerd who fixed Bitcoin could be the one that kills us all. Now listen, huge grifter alley housekeeping at the beginning here. While you're listening, I demand you, go to patreon.com/IlluminatiWatcher, use promo code DRAMA, and I promise you, you're going to like the price you see. It expires November 30th. Get in while you can. Catch up on hundreds of past bonus episodes like the recent Epstein Files show I did, the Carly Chirk King Kill 33 show I did recently, plus a ton of other great shows you've got to hear. 55 episode Twin Peaks deep dive. You're going to love it. And you also get a 10% off promo code for my merch at occultsymbolism.com. You can get a shirt that is very relevant to what's going on with today's episode. It's the podcast logo shirt. The back of it says, "These nerds are going to kill us." I said it 10 years ago. It's happening more and more every day. I'm slamming the desk. My metamorphosis into Alex Jones is almost complete. I just need to sell boner juice on my merch store. Instead, I got mushroom-infused coffee. The Illuminati Watcher coffee, you can get it now. We're down to a few bags, so by the time you hear this, there might not be any left. Thank you to everyone buying it. It's good stuff. It's USDA certified organic mushroom extract. My man Jordan roasted it. Two veterans. I mean, what more? Two veterans, small business, like-minded folks. What more do you ask for? Okay. On to the topic at hand. Yeah, just do that while you're listening. Patreon.com/IlluminatiWatcher. Promo code DRAMA. Link in the show notes. Now, I saw this brain rot video on TikTok of a guy, and Josie sent this to me from the old, do you guys listen to Breaking Social Norms? That's my show I do with my wife, Josie. You're going to love it. You're going to love it or hate it. I promise you that. Anyways, she sent me this video, this TikTok. She always says, she sends me stuff. She's like, is this true? And this guy posted a video, and typical TikTok fashion, virtually no supporting evidence or research. He just posted an email of people talking about Bitcoin, and Epstein's on it. And he's like, Epstein funded Bitcoin, right? I said, all right, well, let me look into this, because I downloaded all of the emails to my computer, as you already know. I dug through, I found the email in question, all right, from the Epstein files, right? And to be fair to the TikTok creator, turns out he's sort of correct. Epstein, in a way, helped support the founding of Bitcoin, and I'll explain why. But when I researched it, it brought up a host of crazy ideas and things that led me to believe I may have discovered who Satoshi Nakamoto is. So stick to the end and prove me wrong. All right, I know you crypto nerds are, deep in this, and you're probably like, no, it's not that guy. It's, well, listen to what I have to say first, all right? There's a guy named Gavin Andresen. He's the nerd who's going to kill us in today's episode. Who is Gavin Andresen? Well, we have to go all the way back to the beginning of Bitcoin and the enigmatic founder that goes by the name of Satoshi Nakamoto. Nobody knows who this person actually is or was. All we know is that he wrote the white paper on Bitcoin. He is considered the godfather of cryptos and the guy who started Bitcoin, right? And today we don't have time to go through the whole history of cryptos and Bitcoin and the conspiracies around them. I will defer you to my still relevant show I did from January 2018. It's a show titled "Is Bitcoin an Illuminati Ruse?" It's also I wrote a book around the time called Conspiracy Theories and Unpopular Culture. See, I've been trying to steer you guys in the right direction since 2017. So, I mean, that's when I started buying cryptos. And that's not a statement on my opinion of cryptos. If you've listened to enough shows, you know my opinion on cryptos. They're sus, but you can make a lot of money, right? That's why my favorite long-standing show sponsor, copymycrypto.com, and James, I follow him. I am a member. Copymycrypto.com/Isaac. 2 A's for double awesome. Get in for $1. Anyway, I told you I'm grifted hard today, baby. because I'm in overtime mode right now. You know, I was done with my show for the week. I was working on my research for MK Ultra. This thing fell in my lap, and I said, "This is amazing. I got to do another show." So you've got to suffer. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, back in 2017, I was buying it at 10. Bitcoin was 10K a coin back then. I was unfortunately flat broke and an incredible amount of debt, may I add, at the time. So I was only able to scoop up like a tenth of a coin, which I still have. Anyway, so check out that episode from January 2018 or the book Conspiracy Theories and Unpopular Culture, available on Amazon, Audible, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Let's catch up now. Let's refer to an article because we want to learn about Gavin Andresen. Let's go to an article from 2014 on technologyreview.com to unpack all this, nerd language and make sense of things. Okay? I'm going to read you from the article. Slight paraphrasing. Gavin Andresen, a mild-mannered 48-year-old picked by the real Satoshi Nakamoto, whoever he or she is, as his successor in late 2010. Andresen became core maintainer, chief developer of the open source code that defines the rules of Bitcoin and provides the software needed to make use of it. The combination of Nakamoto's blessing and Andresen's years of diligent full-time work on the Bitcoin code has given him significant clout in Bitcoin circles. The CIA and Washington regulators have looked to him to explain the currency. We'll talk about that. And it was Andresen who conceived of the nonprofit Bitcoin Foundation, established in 2012, which is the closest thing to a central authority in the world of Bitcoin. Pause for a second. We're going to talk about the Bitcoin Foundation, which is no longer. Again, this article was from 2014, and you're going to be you're going to have opinions. Okay, back to the article. Formerly known as Gavin Bell, he has been a software engineer ever since he graduated in computer science from Princeton in 1988 and took a job with Silicon Valley Computing Graphics. He worked there for 7 years and then at a series of startups building products from 3D software to online games for blind and sighted people to play together. Then he encountered Bitcoin in 2010. Bitcoins were essentially worthless at the time and extremely finicky to get a hold of and use. But Andresen saw technical elegance in Nakamoto's design, and a currency outside the control of any government appealed to what he calls his mostly libertarian politics. Rather than being created by a central bank, Bitcoins are mined by people running software that races to solve mathematical puzzles to win a prize of newly minted Bitcoins. He also began sending code tweaks and improvements to Nakamoto. Bitcoin's founder, Nakamoto, liked his work and soon made his protege's email address the only one on the project's homepage. Andresen formally stepped forward in a December 2010 post on the Bitcoin forum. Quote, "With Satoshi's blessing and with great reluctance, I'm going to start doing more active project management for Bitcoin," he wrote. He has worked full-time on it ever since. The Bitcoin Foundation paid him $200,000 in 2013, a salary he received in Bitcoins. His smooth ascent has led to frequent accusations that Andresen is Nakamoto and shed the pseudonym once the currency gained traction. Pause for a second. So this has already been floating in the circles, right? And since then, people have looked to other people to be the actual Satoshi Nakamoto. But with these Epstein files decoding, I think we got to relook at Gavin. I think that it could be him. Plot spoiler, okay? Back to the article. He always flatly denies it. "I am not Satoshi Nakamoto. I have never met him. I have had many email conversations with him," he said after giving a talk in April. "Nobody knows who he is, I think." If that was a lie, Andresen is a remarkable con man. Throughout hundreds of forum posts, email messages, and lines of code, his style has been distinct from that of Nakamoto. Okay, and again, I don't read computer code language. I did a little bit of coding in my college days, but I'm certainly not an expert. So that would be the rebuttal, I would guess, to this claim. That's out of my wheelhouse. I don't know how to defend or deny that. Back to the article. While the price of Bitcoin soared over the years, Andresen and the other core developers toiled to improve the software that made it all possible. They fixed security bugs that had permitted digital heists, made the software less prone to crashes, and spruced up the interface to make it easier to use. That was no small task because what Nakamoto had left was not the kind of software you would hope to build a product on, let alone an economy, says Mike Hearn, ex-Google software engineer who contributed code to the project. He released Bitcoin to prove his ideas would work. It wasn't written to be a long-term sustainable product. Most of the work to fix what was done was by Gavin Andresen and Vladimir van der Laan, the Amsterdam-based coder who took over from Andresen as core maintainer in April. Says Hearn. Van der Laan, who also draws a salary from the Bitcoin Foundation, didn't respond to an interview request. That Vladimir name is going to come back up, okay? The number of people working on the code remains small, even since Andresen helped establish the Bitcoin Foundation to support the software with donations from individuals and companies. So, that's some of the major players in Bitcoin, the history there, the relation to Satoshi, the ideas floated around from 2014. Now, you'll notice it said that he was working with the CIA. What was he doing consulting the CIA? Well, I found a Reddit post that posted a screenshot taken from a forum, I think it's the Bitcoin forum, April 27th, 2010, where Gavin posted and said this: I want to get this out in the open because it's the kind of thing that will generate conspiracy theories. I'm going to give a presentation about Bitcoin at CIA headquarters in June at an emerging technologies conference for the U.S. intelligence community. And right he was, you know? And he goes on in this post to discuss why he's talking to the CIA. He's like, well, they already know about it, and I want to make the world a better place, and this is a better currency, because these guys are all libertarians, right? They want to get away from the Fed and fiat currencies and the U.S. dollar and so on, right? And he doesn't think that the positive goals are incompatible with the goals of government. Like the two are both trying to improve society. I mean, I'm suspicious about that. But hey. So commenters in this Bitcoin Reddit are also very skeptical of these motivations because the CIA is not known for making the world a better place. And they question Gavin's motives of bringing the intelligence agency, the one that does surveillance and coups and all this crazy stuff, into a project meant to break us free from these surveillance financial transactions, right? Which is the Bitcoin vision. One commenter said that Satoshi Nakamoto was last active on December 13th, 2010 at 4:45 p.m. Eastern. His last post was on his or hers. Last post was December 12th, 2010. So that's when Satoshi sort of bowed out. Kind of interesting. And some people claim like, well, it's because Satoshi didn't like that Gavin was bringing the CIA involved with this. Who knows, right? But let's take a look at Gavin and his name. Because if you caught that in the article, it said his name was Gavin Bell. The artist formerly known as Gavin Bell must have transitioned or something, right? Why is his last name Andresen? Let's look to his wife to find out more. She is a professor of geosciences at UMass. Her name is Michelle Cook, also known online in various circles as Michelle Cook Andresen. So his name was Gavin Bell, and he transitioned into Gavin Andresen. The story that he claims is that his wife didn't want to be named Michelle Bell. So instead of him taking her last name of Cook and being Gavin Cook, he chose a random, not so random, random last name, a brand new name of Andresen, which from what I could see online, apparently she hasn't taken that one either. What's going on here? Yeah, no. And this is where it gets into the occult and a lot of these ideas and theories I'm floating around just for fun. The name Andresen comes from the Greek term andros, which means man. From this, we got the names like Andreas or Andrew, which came about as derivations of Andresen. Listen up, there's a limited time offer. Use discount code DRAMA, DRAMA, at patreon.com/Illuminati Watcher until November 30th, 2025. You can get into the hottest comment section on the planet. You'll unlock the ad-free experience, early access, and most importantly, all of the bonus content I've done over the years that you've missed out on while in that free feed loser status. Guys, it's hundreds of hours of bonus content. We've wrapped up an epic 55-episode Twin Peaks deep dive this year. Plus, you had all the monthly bonus shows, including multiple Epstein shows, the King Kill 33 three-part deep dive, the Charlie Kirk King Kill 33 ritual episode, that one's a banger, Ozzy Osbourne's Occult Connections, and the Weapons movie analysis, and that's just this year. You've got bonus shows running all the way back to 2017, including the Wicked film analysis, the Diddy 3-hour deep dive, part 5 of the 9/11 series where I bought the book called The Pet Goat, the full Eyes Wide Shut series, the full Great Reset series, and the 3-part series on Marjorie Cameron, as well as a book club on the Dark Path, plus hundreds of other episodes. So get in now at patreon.com/Illuminati Watcher and use promo code DRAMA to get into Tier 1 for just $1. Tier 2, which has the ad-free video version, that's $2. But do it now before the offer expires. I typically only do this once a year. Links are always in the show notes. Andresen is Norwegian, and it means the son of Andreas. And it's similar to the last name of Anderson in America. Now, the Wikipedia for this shows that the Norwegian surname of Andreas is rooted in Antreos, which comes from a rune stone from the 12th century. Now, runes are occult activity. Illuminate confirmed, if you will. They were originally just an alphabet, but that's like the basic explanation. But they come through Norse mythology, which I suppose Gavin is apparently intrigued by since he took on a Norse name of Andresen. The Norse believed that Odin found this rune language during a death and rebirth ritual. While he was dying from it, he sacrificed himself, and he was in this other realm, kind of in a liminal state between life and death, and he retrieved these runes and returned with them and gave them to the Vikings or whatever. And from this, runes were used on amulets and charms, and they meant, it's supposed to symbolize victory and protection. It was a form of magic, okay? And the name in Norse actually means secret, kind of like occult is Latin for hidden. So all these occultists, like the Nazis, would utilize this symbolic magical language, like the Nazis had the SS bolts, which were just 2 runes, okay? And the first person to document runes and talk about it publicly was Johann Buros. Buros? I don't know if I'm saying his name right. This guy was a Rosicrucian. He was into alchemy and Kabbalah. He derived what he called runic Gothic Kabbalah after he claimed to find more secret occult language behind the runes, because there's a magical connection. And what's the whole mythology of Bitcoin? It's about hidden financial transactions, a mysterious, enigmatic, secret founder, Satoshi Nakamoto, who recruited his disciples, then disappeared forever, and everyone's dying for his return. And this is the story of kind of like Odin or Christ or King Arthur mythology. So is Gavin Andresen actually Satoshi Nakamoto? I mean, most people would say not, but I don't know. I think these things connect through, right? And the name Andresen also connects to Andrew or Saint Andrew, one of the 12 apostles. And he was a martyr for Christ, having been bound and crucified on the cross. He had an X-shaped cross because he said he wouldn't be martyred on the same cross as God because he wasn't worthy, right? But Saint Andrew would be called the first called because he had followed John the Baptist until Christ came along and he became the first apostle. So you see the parallel here, right? Gavin Andresen is the first called of Satoshi. That's why he chose the last name Andresen, which is a play on the term of Andrew with some occult connections connected in there. So let's get to this Epstein file, right? Let's decode this Epstein file in this email. The email dropped. The file number is 026360. And there's this guy named Joy Ito, and he's sending Epstein notification about a digital currency initiative. All right. And the email is a forward from April. He forwarded it on April 25th, 2015. He sends an article to some redacted name. We don't know who was it. And it's all about MIT's Media Lab and the collapse of the Bitcoin Foundation. Remember, we talked about the Bitcoin Foundation earlier. It was the big deal. It was Andresen and Vladimir and all these guys. And he forwards this to this mystery redacted person and says, the way that Bitcoin is organized currently is that there are 5 core developers and around 100 contributors to the core code. The 5 core developers are like Linus Torvalds of Linux. They decide what changes are made to the core code. One of the 5 is the lead developer, Vladimir, and one is the chief scientist, Gavin. All right, we talked about those guys. Gavin, Vladimir, and Corey, an important contributing developer, were being paid out of a nonprofit organization called the Bitcoin Foundation. A few weeks ago, it blew up when one of the board members declared the foundation bankrupt. And then he has a link talking about this thing, right? Many organizations scrambled to step into the vacuum created by the foundation and take control of the developers. We moved quickly, talking to all of the various stakeholders, and the 3 developers decided to join the Media Lab. This is a big win for us. So he's talking about the Bitcoin Foundation collapsing and how they needed those core developers to continue the project of Bitcoin, so they had to recruit them into the MIT Media Lab, which Joy Ito runs, okay? So Joy Ito forwards this message that he had sent to some redacted name over to Epstein and tells Epstein, FYI, used gift funds to underwrite this, which allowed us to move quickly and win this round. Thanks. Epstein replies to Joy Ito and just writes, Gavin is clever. So does Epstein know Gavin Andresen? I looked through the document files that I downloaded, which I don't have all of them, but I didn't see any evidence of Gavin emailing Epstein directly, but he apparently knows him. Or maybe he was just commenting on it and saying, well, that's a clever guy. I don't know. So let's talk about the background of what this means. The MIT Media Lab is a research lab that was taking lots of money donated from Epstein, which led to the resignation of Joy Ito when it all became public. Ito liked Epstein. He called Epstein fascinating, kind of like Bill Gates, who said similar, right? Epstein was so fascinating that he was accepting donations from Epstein, even though Epstein had been flagged as a disqualified donor for MIT. But Joy Ito couldn't resist. He apparently also took $1 million plus from Epstein into his personal investment funds. That's what I read from his apology letter that you can find on the MIT website. Wikipedia claims it was $1.2 million. There was a deposition unsealed in 2019 where Virginia Giuffre said that Epstein's associate directed her to have sexy time with former MIT Media Lab professor Marvin Minsky. Boston Globe reported that Bill Gates had donated $2.2 million to the MIT Media Lab through Epstein. So there's a lot of cozy connections here. And someone else who helps fund Media Lab is a guy named Mohammed bin Salman, MBS, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, which you've probably seen. If you watch the news, he was, I think he was just in the White House not a couple days ago. And you'll recall a bunch of these technocrats went over to Saudi Arabia, and that was like when there was that famous clip of that dude, I forget his name, that dude showing Trump some photos that Trump promptly hid from the camera, and he looked real concerned. The Bitcoin Foundation, let's talk about that for a second. It was founded in 2012 to, promote Bitcoin and rehabilitate its image, as well as like handle the core development of it. Because back then, Bitcoin was a real shady thing, and people were using it for illegal purposes because it was completely, off the grid and it wasn't tied to a name. You could just send funds to do illegal stuff, like on the dark web. And Gavin was the chief scientist at the Bitcoin Foundation. Now, the vice chairman was a guy named Charlie Shrem, and he was arrested and pled guilty to aiding and abetting transactions for the Silk Road. More shady marketplaces, right? A board member named Mark Karpeles, who was also the CEO of Mt. Gox and resigned after Mt. Gox lost its customers' Bitcoins. Remember that when the Mt. Gox coin crash happened in 2014? He was also on the board. So when Shrem and Karpeles resigned from these scandals, they were replaced with a couple guys, and one of those two was a venture capitalist named Brock Pierce. Who's this guy? Well, Reuters wrote a piece about him in 2014 and talks about how several Bitcoin Foundation employees left when this guy showed up. I'm going to read you from Reuters. At least 10 members of the nonprofit Bitcoin Foundation have resigned over last week's election of one-time Disney child star and current Bitcoin entrepreneur and financier Brock Pierce as the new director. Some of the members cited Pierce's troubled past. That include allegations and lawsuits from 3 employees of Pierce's first company, bankrupt web video business Digital Entertainment Network, that he provided drugs and pressured them for sex when they were minors. Blah, blah, blah. The track record of prominent Bitcoin Foundation members has been abysmal, said Patrick Alexander, a resigning Foundation member, in a post to discussion pages. I no longer want to be associated with these people. And that's what I'm trying to say. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to say, what the heck is going on at this Bitcoin Foundation? And then the MIT Media Lab. These nerds are out of control. So in 2015, Bitcoin Foundation fully dissolves, and that's what this email is talking about. It's about the dissolution of the Bitcoin Foundation and how Joy Ito from MIT's Media Lab used Epstein's funds to procure the major core developers from the world of Bitcoin into MIT. So in conclusion, that's what this email is talking about. It's about confirming that they used Epstein's money to secure Bitcoin. Did Epstein help basically fund Bitcoin? In a way, he did. He wasn't like Satoshi Nakamoto or the guy who originated it, apparently, I guess. But he definitely played a role in getting the core developers over at MIT Media Lab so they could continue their work to develop Bitcoin and the code. And Bitcoin is still a strange mystery, right? I don't like what I see with all this, but like I always say, that doesn't mean you can't make money on it, right? That's why I use Copy My Crypto and James McMahon for copymycrypto.com. He says it too. I interviewed him maybe 2 years ago, and we both agreed. We're like, look, I don't love cryptos. I like stocks because I can wrap my head around things, and I can see what the business is doing, and there's sales and volume and all this stuff. I don't love cryptos, but that doesn't matter. Can you make money off them? Yes, you can, and you can make a lot of money. People are banking huge fatties off of this, right? And again, if you want to check it out, copymycrypto.com/Isaac, ISAAC. You can get it for $1. It's always on my ads, I know. But anyway, it's because I use it. I've been getting into investing the last couple of years. That's why I had 2 investment shows, one on stocks and one on cryptos 2 years ago. Anyway, I think there are too many connections with intelligence, nerds, and Epstein now. Nerds who can't get laid involved with all of this. And the whole Epstein files is like the most wildest conspiracy that we've ever lived through, it feels like. Larry Summers, whose name was all over it, just resigned this morning from his OpenAI board position. And I didn't cover that. There's obviously a ton of emails I didn't cover on my November bonus show for the Patreon and the supporter feeds. But there was an email about Donald Trump apparently blowing a guy named Bubba. And Jeffrey's brother, Mark Epstein, claims that Bubba is in fact not Bill Clinton. But notice that he didn't deny that Trump blew somebody. That's what's kind of crazy about the whole thing. And Radar Online said that Mark Epstein was told by a very reliable informant that they are redacting all the conservatives' names from the Epstein files. So now we know why the government shutdown may have been going on so long. And all of a sudden, Trump's like, hey, Republicans, you should go vote to release those files. And now Pam Bondi's like, now that it's passed through, Pam Bondi's like, okay, we need 30 days. We need 30 days. That's the story. That's the conspiracy behind the whole thing. Is like, are we going to get the real deal? Or is this going to be redacted to show a tool of only, liberals being on there? Because we know that it's both. It's not a partisan issue. It's a nerd issue. And it's nerds who can't get laid. In fact, I think Larry Summers was sending a bunch of emails to Epstein crying about how he couldn't get laid. Bill Gates, same thing, hanging out with this model and her daughter. That's why Melania divorced his ass. All allegedly. So there you go. That's my big finding. That's my theory. I think Gavin Andresen was utilizing the occult Norwegian name of Andresen to imply that he is the first apostle, right? The first apostle past Satoshi. So is he actually Satoshi Nakamoto? I mean, it could be. It could be. I think it's pretty fascinating. It's almost like he's trying to sell us on the mythology of Satoshi by taking on that name. I mean, it was a name that came out of nowhere, basically. And that's my idea, is that he wants to sell this mythology of a guy named Satoshi Nakamoto. He's the first one in. I don't know. It just seems very odd to me. Okay, that's all I got. Again, you want to get in on that 80% off? Get in for $1 at patreon.com/Illuminati Watcher. Go do it. Use promo code DRAMA. Get in before November 30th when it's all over. You can also do the VIP section at IlluminatiWatcher.com for the same deal. And for my Apple premium folks, I'm sorry I don't have a way of discounting. Apple keeps me away from you. And that's fine. If that's easy and that's the way you like it, I appreciate you guys. There's a lot of yous, actually. So I think it's the simplest one, because if you do that, you just hit the button and you're in. There's no passwords, no credit cards, no emails, no nothing. It's just boop, you're in. But they also charge a hefty fee for me to offer that to you guys. That's why that one costs more than the other ones, okay? All right, so that's it. That's the whole show. Till next time. And a quick plug. Stay subscribed, because I'm doing this special two-parter on 1947 that's going to absolutely blow your brains. Me and Joel Thomas linked up. This one's going to be super mega banger. It's going to be the best show of the year. 2 best shows of the year. 1947 Decode dropping very soon. All right. Till next time, stay positive. Hey guys, does it piss you off to watch cryptos fly up in price for over a decade? You still done nothing about it? It makes sense. Crypto's complicated and it's boring. Well, here's the good news. You don't need to know a thing about crypto to make the money that so many people have. The copymycrypto.com membership site shows you the exact cryptos that YouTube James McMahon personally holds, which means you just copy him. It's like having a big brother who knows what he's doing. You don't need to know a thing about crypto or how to invest. You simply copy along. So let me tell you more about James. He runs the Crypto with James YouTube channel, which has over 94,000 subscribers. In the summer of 2020, he told his viewers to buy 26 cryptos. Had you put $100 into each one, it went on to be worth over $123,000. Of the 26 cryptos, his top pick of the year, the one that he singled out, called Phantom, went up 692 times. From what he said, that one call alone has retired a number of people, including guys in their 20s and 30s. Remember, this is public knowledge. You can go to YouTube and verify this yourself. So if you'd like to join the 2,800 members who copy James, then pause what you're doing. Head over to copymycrypto.com/Isaac. That's copymycrypto.com/Isaac, spelled with 2 A's, ISAAC, double awesome. You're going to get proof of everything I've said. And my viewers get full access for just $1. And you're going to join me too, because I'm also a member. I've been watching James' videos and listening to his advice for years now. James is the real deal. It couldn't be any easier, guys. And yes, you've missed out on Bitcoin, but there's over 2 million other cryptos. Do you really think you've missed out on all of them? Guys, don't waste any more time. Go to the site now, copymycrypto.com/Isaac with 2 A's. You get in for $1. It's ending money worries for so many. It may just do the same for you. Link in the show notes as always.